Hi everyone, and welcome to our channel at Smart Home Improvement. Today we're going to dive deep into a topic that many homeowners ponder, and that's the true cost of building a conservatory. So understanding the basics of a conservatory being a beautiful addition to any home, providing a seamless transition between the indoors and the outdoors. But before you start dreaming of sun-soaked afternoons and garden parties, it's always crucial to understand the factors that can influence the cost, because believe it or not, the costs of conservatories and orangeries can spiral out of control pretty quickly, as I'm sure you can understand. So if you know a few things, you can save yourself a few quid, okay, and keep that cost down at the end of the day. So the key factors affecting cost, okay, are the size and design. So the larger and more complex the design, obviously at the end of the day, the higher the cost. So one of the things you might want to do is consider factors like the number of windows, doors, roof style. So obviously if you go down the route of like a polycarbonate roof, going to be much cheaper, it's the cheapest option. Obviously you can go down the route of glass roof, but obviously if you have a tiled roof, okay, you're then going to have a much higher cost at the end of the day, and you're probably going to face having to go down the route of a bit of paperwork with your local council, because you'll probably need some planning permission. It's normally the case, but it's not always the case. Okay, so you might want to weigh the factors up of how quickly you actually do want to get one built and everything. If you've got a bit more time, then obviously it's not going to be a problem. But if you're in a rush to get one done, may end up being a bit of a problem. Then obviously what you want to do, one of the other factors, you're going to have to take into account materials. So the choice of materials such as UPVC, aluminium, timber, can all significantly impact the price. Most common option most people will do is primarily use brick and UPVC. People don't tend to use timber for their conservatories, not so much nowadays like they used to, but that is the main option. Then you're going to have to look at foundations. So the type of foundations that are required, whether a concrete slab or base on existing foundation, could possibly affect the cost. I've known that in the past. I remember, when I used to work for Apple Home Improvements, I think it added something. They had a problem with the land that they lived on at the time. I think it added something like £10,000 onto the cost. I'm not saying that happens to everybody, but house that we were speaking to, they were already prepared. They already knew that it was going to whack up the price because they had a problem with the soil in their back garden. So they had already taken that into account. Obviously, something I've already spoken about, planning permission. So obviously planning permissions vary from every council. So your local regulations, you may need to obtain planning permission, which can add to the overall cost. We have done a video in the past, and we do also have a blog about planning permission, which is also on my actual website. So if you're not entirely sure on planning permission, you can always go and take a look at those. I can add them into the comments below once, so you can actually go straight to that, so you can find out a bit more information, just to help you out. Then you might want to take a look at the cost of labour. So that will be vary based on your location. So obviously if you're close to London or big cities, okay, obviously labour costs are going to be a lot more expensive. Okay, obviously, unfortunately, if you're in the south of England, like where I live, labour costs are going to be more expensive. Or obviously, if you live much further north, things do tend to be a bit cheaper. Good old north-south divide, as a lot of people like to put it. It does exist, unfortunately. I get reminded of it every single day by my wife, with us living in the south of England. But that's one of those things, I've got to suck up at the end of the day. And then obviously there's the extras like underfloor heating, blinds, or any custom finishes can increase the cost as well. So by breaking down the cost of where your money's generally going to go when you are looking at building a conservatory, on average, now this isn't always the case, but this is based on average case, you're looking at approximately 30 to 40% going on the materials, 30 to 40% going on labour, okay, around about 5 to 10% going on planning and permits, and then 10 to 15% approximately going on your foundations, unless you've already got existing foundations, and then you don't have to worry about it. Okay. The next thing to take into account, and this is a question I've always absolutely hated and detested that people ask me, because I get asked this all the time: what's the average cost of a conservatory? Well, the problem with that is not everybody has the same conservatory. So my next door neighbour, she might have a massive 10 by 15 metre conservatory, and then the other side might have a 3 by 3. And then different designs cost different amounts. So, cheapest option always being the lean-to conservatory, and then you've got orangeries, P-shaped, Victorian, Edwardians, the list goes on, and they all vary in price. Victorian and Edwardians, which are probably the two most popular after the lean-to conservatory, they're quite similar in price. Okay, there's not much difference in it. But as a general rule, it is normally quite difficult to say what an average price conservatory is. But on average, what people normally look to spend is somewhere between £5,000 to £20,000. But like I said, the cheapest option, if you really want to go down the budget route, you go 3 by 3, you go on a lean-to, and you get a polycarbonate roof. Nothing wrong with that. My mum used to have a lean-to conservatory on the back of our house. It's bigger than 3 by 3, admittedly. Probably about 3 meters out, and then about 5-6 meters across, something like that. And that was with a polycarbonate roof. But obviously the problem with polycarbonate roof, if you've got a south-facing roof, like my mother did, she lived in Southsea, in Portsmouth, it was like an absolute oven during the summer, and that was the downside. Okay, so tips for saving money. We all love to save a few quid. So first and most obvious one, shop around. Don't go to the first company, or don't go to the biggest company thinking, oh, they're going to do me the best thing since sliced bread. Not always necessarily the case. So you can always get quotes from multiple contractors, or you can even go to websites which will help by getting you a few contractors in for you to provide the prices. I can give you a list of companies that can do that. I'll put that in the comments below as well, so you can just go straight to them. So if that's something you're interested in, I'll provide you with some of those. If you are capable, obviously, a bit of DIY, if your husband doesn't mind doing a bit of it, could save you a bit of cash and, you know, put a bit more money in your pocket. So that's always an option. Another way is, like I've already said, you know, opt for simpler designs. Don't go really complicated by putting loads of bricks in. Try and reduce the amount of glass. You know, don't go, if you want to save money, don't go for like tiled roofs. Go more of a glass roof. You know, glass roofs are cheaper and slightly better option than a polycarbonate roof. Not to say there's anything wrong with polycarbonate roofs. Now, a lot of people still do get them, but it's a slightly better option, but costs a little bit more money. But obviously, any designer can always help you with that. And obviously, the big one, which is one that a lot of people in the UK don't tend to like to do, which is negotiate. Now, this is something I shouldn't really say, considering I work in the double glazing industry, and a lot of double glazing companies aren't going to like me saying this. What you've got to remember is they don't come round to your house, spend an hour in your house showing you design and everything, whether it's double glazing doors, conservatories, orangeries, fascias, soffits and gutterings, whatever it is, and give you the bottom price. I can tell you that for nothing, you know. So haggle with them, get the best deal. You know, think of it as a bit like in, you know, some African countries. You know, if you go to Morocco, you know they're going to try and haggle with you so they can make as much money. So what you got to remember is you got to try and save as much money as humanly possible, and make sure as much of your money stays in your pocket and out of the company's pocket. So negotiate, get the best deal humanly possible. I'll give you an example. I used to know a landlord. This is back in Southampton. This is probably about 10 to 15 years ago, this is now. And he had Anglian come round to his house. Now, he had a big house, probably about a 6-7 bedroom house in Southampton. And when they came round, they were around for about 3 to 4 hours. You know, they were there for quite a long time, you know, doing the usual chit chat and all this kind of rubbish. And they came out of a quote for him. And don't laugh, you know, this is God honest truth. They quoted him £120,000 for all the windows in the house. Might have been doors as well, but I originally got told it was all the windows in the house. And he even knew that I worked in the double glazing industry. Why he didn't just come to me, I don't know. I would have made a lot of money, to be honest. But beside that, so they quoted him 120 grand. Now, obviously, he's a salesman at the end of the day. You know, he has a lot of property. He ain't going to just he's not going to take 120 grand. He got them down to 40. Got them down to 40,000. He got 80 grand off the price, which is obviously considerably a lot less. Now, I can give you another example of, I knew somebody from Everest who went to see a lady, I think it was down in Swindon Way. Now, he used to be one of the managers for Everest. Okay, now I don't know how much truth's in this story, and he spent half a day with the woman. Okay, and it was for a large conservatory. She was, I believe, she had a polycarbonate roof on her conservatory. She was getting a glass one, and he gave her one price and charged her £250,000. Now, obviously, it's not a small conservatory. It is a large conservatory, a considerable size. This was a very wealthy woman with a very large house. But she took the first price. Now, the argument is, if she had used a bit of common sense. Now, admittedly, she was happy with paying the price. She had no problem with the price. She could have probably got 50 grand off. She might have even got more than that. But you never know. If you don't negotiate, you don't know what you can get off. Okay, so that's the one thing that I would say is always negotiate. Try and get a bit of money off, because you never know what you'll be able to get off the company at the end of the day. Okay. Obviously, I hope this video has helped you out. Okay. Obviously, we would appreciate it if you would subscribe to our channel, because we've always got new content coming out, so please do subscribe. If you've got any comments, do put something in the comments. I do read all the comments, and I do try and follow up on them all. But obviously for now, thanks for listening, and we'll speak to you again soon. So cheers for now.